Before we move on to the front of the URL, what did I just look at? Performance settings. These are important. The default settings you see here. Okay, the things that can easily be changed to enhance the performance of DotNetNuke, which is already high performing, is the module caching message to memory, as long as you have enough memory in your machine. All right, because it's a lot faster to get something from memory than it is disk. All right, the monitor caching to heavy caching.
I want you to do that.
I'm sorry?
Share with us.
Oh, that's true. That's a very good point. Yes.
Have a monopoly.
All right. Let's pretend that we are not on a shared host. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah,
but
get pissed off at you.
Yeah. Yeah, but they won't know it for a little while.
Yeah.
The server no cache.
Oh, they've seen it enough that they know now.
Making that public and compression setting. Where I got this stuff from is John Mitchell. If you're not familiar, there's a module out there called Page Blaster. John Mitchell and I have back and forth all the time about performance of .NETNuke, and this is something come from his FAQ on how to squeeze more performance out of .NETNuke. And this is if you're not using the Page Blaster module, which I suggest getting. I wish he'd give me permission. But these things run into deflate, run into public, memory, and heavy, which is in the slideshow. So whenever you download this, you'll see that in there. Okay. So I click update, and you won't see a very big increase on this local page, but there is a slight increase. But if you're on a server, your pages are coming back snappy quick at this point. All right. So once again, if you're not at a shared host, what do you mean? Thanks to that.
Back on SMTP,
yes.
I want to talk about the fact that you got to put a host name and email address, or the. Oh,
that's what that's what I did up at the very top.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but you got to do it in the host settings. So not just in the SMTP settings.
Yeah, that's what I did up here, the host settings.
Okay.
See, that's Will Strohl at redshub.com now.
Yeah, but it also reads off of in the host settings, or in the portal settings.
I've never had to change anything in portal settings to do that.
I thought on 4.9 it started to use the values out of portal settings.
If that's true, I haven't run into that yet.
That's the from address. So if you left the default.
Well, the from address, oh, I see what you're saying, from address for the admin account.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that'll vary on what your structure is. But since we're running out of time, I need to, real quick, I want to move to the front URL. This is awesome. So right now, our home page is whatever this long URL is. If I go into the host file, which this can be done in the site urls.config file on the in the root of your directory. But if I go into host settings, there's another feature there. Friendly URL settings. This uses regular expression. Okay, so you might want to get something like regexbuddy or something to help you with these if you don't know anything on it. So I'm going to add a new rule. All right, I'm going to do, and I'm not going to go into what these characters mean here, but star.home.aspx. But I need to escape that dot. All right, and I actually want that to go to. Oops, yeah, that's right. I want that to go to the default page, but I want it to go to tab ID. Because there's only one page, right? There's only one page in the .NETNuke installation, default.aspx. But I need to tell which page to go to. I want it to go to tab ID 36, right? So if somebody hits home.aspx, they go to the home page. Save. There it is. You see it's in there. Oh, that works differently when I'm not looking at my monitor. All right. So now, when I go to the home page, unfortunately, a result is this doesn't get rewritten without another third-party component, okay? But if you put a link out there, I'm going to change the URL to home.aspx. Bam. All right. That's one of the most important things I want to get to with this presentation, but that brings us to the end of it. Actually, no, I got 10 more minutes, don't I?
You do.
I do.
Question on it before you go on.
Yes, sir.
If you were running IIS, 8 now?
8 to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to put the .aspx. Is this going to be supported? In other words, if they just put /default?
Well, as long as your IIS supports whatever the extension is and knows where to forward it, and your application is listening for that extension, you can do anything you want. I've seen people do some really weird. You know what? There's somebody named Nina Myers. She uses .xd for her extensions. Those are really extensions.
With the okay, with the new version of IIS, you know, like the whole MVC thing, the Microsoft.
I haven't
thing.
used
You
ISP,
don't need an extension.
Well, that's an MVC specific thing. That's a URL rewriter inside MVC.
Well, yeah, but it's a .NET rewriter. You can use a rewriter without using the whole MVC framework.
I think you might have to use one or the other. I don't think you'd use them both.
I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. I haven't actually.
Take it offline.
Yeah, it is. If I had giveaways, I'd be throwing you like a book or something right now.
What's the difference between the portal alias? I mean, are you pretty much doing the same function
I know, it's pretty
between portal alias and the friendly URL?
I'm sorry, say again?
The friendly URL and the portal alias, are those both?
They work with each other.
They work with each other.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be good. Like if I've got somebody who's already got a website that I'm porting into my hosting, and it's qualified to names.
You know, I'm going to go a little step extra on your question. With what we just looked at, the friendly URLs, something that's important to note, I went into host settings to modify this. So if I have multiple sites on this one installation, I have to put them all in the same spot. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a weakness to .NETNuke. You should be able to manage this at a portal level, all right? Kind of, up to a point. Now, the reason being, if I put home.aspx point in tab 36, but another portal, their tab ID for their home page is 54, that's going to mess somebody up. Well, you know, that's probably maybe something coming down the pipe. But I haven't looked at the features updates lately. But that is something to keep in mind. So, for instance, on stuff like that, I've added rules where there's multiple portals. I do a search for, like, the domain name. So at this point, anywhere.com, escape the period, what am I doing? Slash home.aspx. I need to escape that. And then so that one I might make, and this will be faster, 54. But at the same time, I need to change the domain name of the first one. So that way they're pointing individually at the correct location. Does that make sense?
Isn't that kind of what this one?
They can, yes, exactly. But you can. I don't know if there's any third-party tools to manage this, but it would be very easy to manage this with a module if somebody wanted to take the time. Because all it is managing an XML file. Yes,
sometimes, if you don't want to do .aspx, if you want to have them go through / just home, how do you do that?
That gets a little bit more involved. In most cases, you have to set a wildcard at your IIS level in order for the request to be passed to your .NET application. Because if you do just /, it's not passing to the .NET application itself, so the worker process doesn't ever see that request. So what I've usually seen in that case on at least not on IIS 7 or 8, but or actually not on IIS 8, but 7 and below, is you usually have to set a wildcard at the IIS level to pass all requests in the ASP.NET worker process. And then at that point, you'd be able to handle that URL. And there's also third-party modules. I'm sorry I keep mentioning Page Blaster, but that's just simply my favorite module out there. But that particular module will help you manage that type of request. Page Blaster. All right, so I'm going to click save on that, but now that'll be hosed, so I'm going to go ahead and actually do that. All right, so that's friendly URLs. Any other questions of friendly URLs? They can become very powerful. Oh, and by the way, the Page Blaster module will actually, the one weakness I showed you where you can still get to the other URL, that's a problem in the SEO world, because now you got two completely different URLs with the exact same content getting indexed.
That is.
All right? That's a big problem. Now, there are a lot of modules to do this, but my favorite happens to be the Page Blaster module. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to replace script, or replace anything, in pretty much any file on that gets requested. Okay? So in the instance of the home page, I'd be able to add a value to replace anywhere that sees this with the correct URL. So that way, when I go and click on this tab, when the page got rendered, it never saw the rest of this. It just saw home.aspx, and that's what people click on. That's what the search engine sees. All right?
So that's your robots and your, no matter what agent comes in.
Exactly. Because they just see the markup.
Sweet.
Does that make sense? So if you're worried about SEO at all, which everybody should be, even if you have a family site, that's important. All right? Restart application. There's a few different ways to do that. One thing is to just change your web config. Some people just put a line break in it, upload it again, or save it, depending on what your environment is. Another way is to recycle your application pool if you have access to your server. But another way is if you're a host, we can go to host settings. And this is not what everybody knows, but I didn't mean to go back. Sorry, guys. So in the bottom of your host page, your host settings page, you see restart application at the very bottom. What's really cool, if you look at the source of this, all it does